Good morning. Hi, Carolyn and Lynn and Nancy and Michael and Stevie. How are you? I hope you are well. Getting ready to practice. I'm getting my clock ready. Yeah, when I get ready, I think, wow, this is amazing. I get to take care of myself. I get to take care of my body, my mind, and my soul. And so necessary. I was having a lot of conversations recently with friends whose kids are going back into school as the kids are trying to integrate back into school. And they were just talking about all the anxiety and the stress these kids are feeling because they actually have to go back into socialization. And it's just so crazy because we had to take a step back. And, some things about it are good, right? I think that many of us would say that this last year or so, there's been good things that have happened too, right? Not all things are not great. But the thing about the socialization, it's really so true. And I know for myself, even going out and driving around, sometimes it's weird and it's almost scary. And I've started going to gatherings. I think I was at a gathering last night with 30 people. And it's so bizarre because that used to be part of normal life. And just when we're starting to get back in, or even if you think about it and it feels scary or hard, it's because we are energetic beings, because there's more to us that is unseen than seen. And the parts of us that is unseen, that energetic part of us, the part that's always trying to be on the lookout to make sure we're safe, that exists. And when we practice yoga, that is part of what we want to work on for wellness. It's not just about the core and the back and all of those things. It's about our soul and the energetic self. So I'd really like to bring that to the practice today because it is so important to realize that there's unseen parts of you that are being healed during the yoga practice. So that is what we're going to bring to the table today. So I'm going to go back there, unless anybody has anything to say to me. And if you do, I'll come and look. So I'm going to come back here today to speak a little bit more about that. So it's really hard to understand the unseen aspect of us, because what does that really mean? If I can't touch something, if I can't identify it, it's harder. I don't want to say to believe it, but to imagine it and conceptualize it. And when I think about pain, when we have pain in our body, when I work with people, especially people that have chronic pain or chronic systemic pain, I ask them, can you touch it? Where is it? Where is your pain? And I'm always intrigued by the pain that cannot be identified or touched or located, because that level of pain is on that part of us, that energetic part, the part that is unseen, the part that is hard to conceptualize and speak about. And so when we practice yoga, it's all parts of us that we're going to work on healing. And you can't always identify or know where the energy blocks are, where the trauma is. That's the word that gets used often, the word trauma. And that's when there's an imbalance or something really big that happens, right? So it could be, there's so many aspects to what that could be. And it's that constant bombardment on the system, the physical system, physiological system, and then the mental emotional system that's beyond what we can handle. So today's practice is going to be about taking care of your energetic self, your soul self, understanding that that's a part of you that needs to be healed as well, or cared for as well, along with your back or your tushy or your lungs or your upper back or neck, whatever it is. Okay, so let's bring that awareness to the practice today, that this is truly an act of all parts of me, the seen and the unseen. So for today's practice, I'm going to begin in a seated position. And then for those of you that prefer to be down on the ground, you could go down on the ground. I'm going to do the first part of the practice seated. Now, what I would say about that is if you know that you have, I hate to use the word poor posture, but if you know that you tend to have some roundness in your upper back, and if your head is forward, probably being down is better for you. So either coming into a supported position with pillows or a bolster would be better, or even completely flat on the ground, allowing gravity to do some postural help. And then if you do come into the seated aspect of the practice, you're going to be working on strengthening the muscles of posture and alignment in the spine that actually support you in a seated position and a standing position. So the first part, if you sit up, it's a little bit more work related. And if you're in a place right now where you don't want any effort physically and you want this to be about you connecting to you, then go down on the ground. We're going to need a strap for the practice today. You're going to need a block, a blanket. I have 2 blocks here. If we were in person, which hopefully we will be one day again, I use my egg block in almost every class that I teach because I think it is so amazing for rolling out the neck to take tension out of upper back and neck, or for the spine to help correct spinal posture, or even balancing at the base of the spine. I had it today because I couldn't find my other rectangle block, and I wanted to show a seating position that uses 2 blocks. You could take 2 blocks and put them right where your ankle is. So right at your ankle, and sometimes I even use my feet to hug the block. And this is a great way to support your body in a seated position, the Vajrasana with support. It helps to take away some of the pressure of the postural correction. So having something to support you is great, or you could use a bolster underneath your tushy. So a pillow or blankets if you don't have a bolster. And that's also nice. A little bit more pressure here on the top of the feet. So you might get a little bit more of a foot stretch, which could be really beneficial for many of you, for all of us, but for some more than others that have tightness in their feet. And that's going to really contribute to that aspect of you polishing yourself at the soul level. So find whatever you like to bring into your position, the beginning posture today, whether that's you're going to begin seated or you're going to begin on the ground. It's up to you because this is your practice and I want you to create your practice for yourself. So create whatever is going to be the most comfortable for you. And it's also nice too to put a blanket down if you're going to do the Vajrasana or the hero's posture with a block or 2. It's also nice to have the support. And for me, when I put a blanket underneath my body, it feels like such an act of self-care. As silly or as strange as that may sound, or maybe it doesn't at all, it's so nourishing. It's like looking out to make sure that there's the maximum comfort for myself as possible. And so that is a really nice thing to do for yourself, right? So find yourself in a seated posture unless you've chosen to go on the ground or to be supported with your spine. So choose whatever is appropriate for you. And then we're going to begin with breath. I want to bring your awareness to this present moment. So the eyes are open and maybe you're looking forward to see me. I'd like you to look forward to see me. And at that same moment, I want you to notice what's in your periphery, because the optic nerve takes in so much information. We're consuming with our eyes. And that whole peripheral view is there for protection, to make sure that the coast is clear all around you. And I want you to notice that that exists, that there's this whole aspect of what you're consuming. The optic nerve is consuming, like eating, right? And then that has to be digested, like food has to be digested. And then it has to be eliminated, like food has to be eliminated, right? And then the stuff that comes in that's beneficial will be absorbed and assimilated into the system. So we are consumers on so many levels. So right now we're consuming with our eyes, consuming with our ears, and then our other senses that are protecting us. So take your hands, let's rub your hands together. And you can either look at your hands or bring your awareness to your hands. So feel it or see it or do both. Then you're going to take your hands and you're going to place your hands on your thighs. You're going to slide them back so that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. And then flip one palm up, flip the other palm up, and put one palm inside of the other. And if you do have some stored energy in your tummy, it's almost like a nice way to be protective of that. And if you see a lot of Buddha statues when you travel to the East, either in Asia or India, you'll see that this is a hand position. It's called a mudra, the hand positions. It's a mudra that Buddha sits in often in meditation. Keep your elbows as close to underneath your shoulders as you can, and then lift your heart up, unless, of course, you're lying down and doing this. And then close your eyes. When you close your eyes, bring your awareness to your jaw, to your mouth. Take the tension out of your mouth. Open your mouth really wide and close it. Do that a couple of times. Eyes are closed. So feel the maximum stretch when you open and allow it to gently release. Do that again. And then take your lower jaw, wiggle your lower jaw side to side. Let the lips touch. Let your spine be long. And then take your head and push your head back so it's right on top of your torso. Chin slightly moves down and back. Almost like you had two fingers on your chin that you were pushing your chin down and back. And actually, let's do that. Take your two fingers, pointer finger and middle, push down and push back. So your head goes on top of your spine, and then take your hand back down. Stacking your vertebra, finding that alignment in your spine. Take your tongue, let your tongue rest where the top teeth and the roof of the mouth meets. And pay attention to your breath, your rate of breath. Where is your breath? When it comes in the nostrils to your chest, where does it go? Is it pretty high in your chest? Do you feel it more on the right side or more on the left? See if you could begin to deepen your breath so you feel right around your heart. You feel your rib cage expand forward and backwards. And notice when you do this, if you feel any joint movement, do you feel any movement of your spine? And breathe as big as you can. As the ribs expand, there will be spinal movement here because the ribs are attached to your vertebra. Bring your awareness to the sides of your lungs, right underneath your armpits. And breathe one side at a time. Breathe to the right side of your lungs underneath your armpit. And then breathe to the other side. See if you can breathe into both sides right underneath your armpit at the same time. So feel the lungs moving to the side, and they're pushing into the side of the ribs underneath the armpit. See if you could feel that stretch. Feel that movement. Bring your awareness to the top of the lungs, the top of the rib cage, right by the clavicle bones. And as you breathe in your nose, down your throat, into your lungs, breathe in your lungs and up towards your head. And feel that lift. Using breath to gently warm up your spine, warm up the muscles in your chest, shoulders. Bring your awareness down to the lower ribs, the front, the sides, and the back. Begin to direct the breath in and down to the lower ribs. Visualize that you have an inner tube around your lower ribs, and there's an inch space all the way around when you exhale. When you inhale, you expand so that you press into the inner tube equally that's around your lower ribs. And as you breathe down to your lower ribs to expand to the inner tube, take your chin and slightly turn the chin upward so that you add maybe a little correction to the upper back and neck area. Eyes are closed. Feel your way into this. Expanding your lower ribs. We're going to take 5 more breaths down to your lower ribs. Stay with your breath. Feel your lower ribs expand. And when you finish the 5th breath, let the breath go. Give it back to your lungs to move themselves. Back to the autonomic nervous system to breathe you. Your breath is your friend, and it's the way to regulate your nervous system, your momentary response or reactivity to life, your way to ground your mental energy and to take control over the unseen parts of you that may be stimulated or triggered and may be doing things or reacting that over time lead to disease or erosion of your peace. So if you find yourself in the human doing, paying attention to things, watching things, and being in a place of reactivity, you need to shift to the human being, to the present moment, to the place where everything is okay, where you do have enough and where you are safe. The breath is the friend that helps to bring you to that place of being versus doing. And then practicing when you're not in a place of stress is how you develop the skills and the tools to have it at your place of need whenever you need it. So in the moments when you need to calm your mind, get happy, have more energy, you'll have the ability to quickly do that for yourself. Let's take your hands, bring your hands together, rub your hands together. Notice how your body feels right now. See if you can let your pelvis be heavy wherever it is, seated or lying down. Take your hands, cover your eyes. You could let the heel of your hand rest on your cheekbones. Let the energy from the hands calm and soothe the eyes. With the hands over the eyes, open the eyes wide and then close them. Open wide and then close them. Open wide, close them. And now gently allow the eyes to blink themselves open to where they want to be. And then go ahead and bring your hands down. And I want you to notice how you feel in terms of relaxation, in terms of feelings, the way you're feeling, the way your emotional body is right now. So do you feel calm and relaxed? Do you feel whatever it is you feel, just notice that. This is your ability to have the control when you need it to help take care of yourself. The breath, it's the most valuable tool. I guess it's the most valuable tool because it really brings us here, and then there's so much therapeutic value to it. And then when you are in this moment, you start to realize, oh, wow, I really shouldn't get all flustered about that. Or, oh, wow, I really don't need to pay attention to this or this or this or this. So it's the opportunity to stop. It's like putting the brakes on the car to stop your car so you can actually see, okay, here's where I am. And then you can decide what you need to do from there. Okay. So I feel super relaxed. And I also noticed a lot of spinal movement in my own body when I did breathe down to my diaphragm and when I regulated left and right, because I have some scoliosis in my spine. And so I tend to breathe more on the right side of my lungs, right lung, and I can feel that when I pay attention. And when I did breathe really deep down to the lower diaphragm and expanded my low ribs, I actually felt a rebound of lift and I felt a correction of my spine. So it's also great to have a lot of body awareness, because the more body awareness you have, the more self-correction you can do. And that's pretty important. So let's let the blood flow go back down to the legs if you were in a seated position. And if you're in the ground, you could bring your knees into your chest. And let's take the legs one at a time. To unkink the hoses, to let everything flow through your body from head to toe, not pinching nerves or flexing joints, letting the tissues be nice and long so that the communication can be free flowing. And then we're going to do a lot today with core and spinal support. So we're going to strengthen your core because it helps with balance and posture and alignment, and it helps to keep the minerals in the bones for osteoporosis or osteopenia. So we'll do that. And then of course the muscular aspect to keep your muscle tissue nice and strong. And I'd like to begin with pelvic floor and pelvic floor awareness. I prefer to do this in a seated position to actually feel the lift. If you want to be on the ground, you could do this on the ground. So whatever it is you're going to do, I am going to do this in a what's called Sukhasana or easy seat posture, which is like crisscross applesauce. So I'm going to I want to be nice and elevated. So I took my blanket and I folded my blanket in half, and then I folded it in half again to have a pretty high seat. And then I'm going to come to sit on my blanket into Sukhasana, easy seat posture. And you need to do what's appropriate for your body. So if I'm doing this, but your knees don't like to bend like this, or you have a lot of tightness in your hips and you'd rather go down on the ground, go ahead. I want to bring your awareness to the base of your body, to the pelvic floor. As we leave our 30s, there's muscular degeneration in the body, and the pelvic floor also is a part of that. It's a muscle group, and it loses the muscular aspect of being able to support you and hold you up. So I want to bring your awareness to this part of your body. See if you can get yourself to activate. It's a front to back and a side to side set of muscles, like two hammock structures. And that supports your bladder, uterus if you have one, rectum, 22 feet of intestines, liver, pancreas, all the stuff that's here that's being pushed down with gravity is being pushed down into your pelvic floor. So I'd like you to really pay attention to the pelvic floor. And let's do this to raise our awareness to where it is. So we're going to do shh. And you need to do it pretty strong. You cannot just do shh. You really want shh. SH, SH, SH. Shh. You want to really forcefully push it out. See if you can feel that downward movement and see if you could feel the pressure down low where your pelvic floor is. Shh. Shh. Then do a little bouncing aspect of that. So maybe you felt that, right? That was a constant exhalation, a lot of diaphragm work, and a lot of pushing down. So there's a little pressure down there. Let's do another one to see if that didn't work for you. Let's try this one. We're going to do ah, 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 like A-H, A-H, A-H. So take a breath. Ah, 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 ah. I definitely feel that one so much more, that downward pushing down towards the pelvic floor. Ah, 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 ah. Okay, so we're going to bring our awareness to this pelvic floor. The action is to draw towards the center. So think about the very center of your body, the very, very center point of your body. You're drawing towards the center and then you're lifting up. So center and up with the muscles. You could think about a strand of pearls in the center of your body that rests along the front of your spine, that you're going to grab the first pearl and draw up, 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 up. Or you could think of a silk scarf being drawn off the ground to center and then lift. You could think about drawing an egg into your body from the center of your body, like you sat on an egg and you brought the egg up, up, up to your heart. Whatever works for you, just feeling that contract and lift. I'd like to do 10 of them, and we do it at the end of the exhale. So this is taught in India, where when you have no more breath left is where you do the grab and lift. And on a deeper level, this is actually working with your energy, your energetic body, because it's believed that the energy, the Kundalini Shakti energy, begins at the base of the spine. And so it's an active contraction and then a lift. And I think the way that the terminology taught there is contract your anal sphincter or your anus and lift in and up. So in, back, and up. So think about lifting up to right underneath your rib cage, as if you're lifting your pelvic floor up to be underneath your ribs. So that's the action. We'll do 10 of those. You'll do the action of contract and lift on your exhale. So let's take a big breath. Inhale. And then exhale. And then contract and lift as high and as strong as you can hold it until you need to take your inhale. Close your eyes. And then you take your next inhale. You take your next exhale. Contract and lift. So go at your pace. You take an inhale, you take an exhale, and then you do your activation and lift. And when you can't hold your breath out anymore, then you take your big inhale. So do that 10 times. Finishing your last couple. And finish your last one. And then go ahead and release. So we'll use that when we're down on the ground too, thinking about the bottom of your core is your pelvic floor. The muscles that are at the base of your pelvis is your bottom of your core. Top of your core is your diaphragm muscle. And then the muscles in between, it's like a cylinder of muscles. It's your protection, it's your corset, and we call it the core, right? So it's all the way from the back of your spine wrapped around your body. It's diagonal shaped muscles and even some horizontal, the only patterned, I believe the only horizontal muscles in the body here in the core area. So let's protect ourselves from the very, very center of our physical body, right? So not the center of our being, but the center of our physical body. So for this, we will use a strap, a block, and a blanket. So make sure you have those handy. We're going to begin with the spine, the awareness in the spine and the core. And of course, we'll warm up the body before we do that. So let's come down onto the ground. Bring yourself all the way down onto the ground. And from here, come into a full body stretch if you're able to, if your shoulders will let you. Straighten your legs, straighten your arms. Reach your fingertips away, reach your toes away. Really stretch your body glove here. And do this so strongly that you feel a stretch somewhere. Try to pull your rib cage away from your pelvis so you feel some stretch in your belly area. And then flex your hands, heels of the hand reach up toward this wall behind you, and then flex your feet so the heels of the feet reach away. So you're really stretching yourself as much as you can here, feeling a stretch in your body. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bend the legs. Let's take the arms out to the side like the shape of a letter T. Have the arms really nice and wide with the palms up, long away from you. So hopefully with the palms up, you feel something in your arms. I practice quite a bit of physical asana. I teach 5 classes a week. I work privately with people and have to demo, and then I do my own practice. And even with all of that, and then throughout the day, I'm always doing stuff, I get a correction or a stretch here when I come into this position. Really opening your hands so you feel the stretch in your palm, letting the fingernails touch all of them, especially the thumb, so you get that external rotation in the shoulder. And this is part of what helps us take sitting out of our body, that and correcting the posture, up the upper posture. Let's take the feet almost as wide as the mat. Keep the soles of the feet on the floor at first because you want to go gentle, moving your knees back and forth, side to side. Keep your tushy on the ground so that you're isolating this in your pelvic area and hips, not really doing too much with the low back yet. And then start to go a little bit bigger by letting the soles of the feet rock off. And if the tushy cheek either comes away or the weight goes out of the tushy, then you're actually coming more into a tilted pelvis, which is going to be going into the low back and the lower spine. So being in your body to make sure whatever movements you're doing are safe and appropriate for you. So we're actually stretching the core muscles here as we move side to side. And then let your legs go all the way to the left. Let your head go to the right. And then breathe here. See if you feel a stretch. Do you feel a stretch on the right side of your body? Try to let the right top pelvic bone be away from the right lower ribs. And just feel whatever stretch you feel here. Breathe down to your right lower ribs, stretching and breathing into your right diaphragm. There's 2 parts to the diaphragm. So breathe right to those right lower ribs all the way around, from the center of the front all the way around to the center of the back. Take one more breath. And then bring yourself back up to center. Let's let the knees go over to the right, slowly, slowly, slowly. Let the head go to the left.
Let yourself arrive. Feel the stretch here in the left, and notice if the stretch is similar or is it different. And then bring your awareness to your left diaphragm. It lines the left lower rib cage. Can you breathe and use the left diaphragm? One more breath. And then bring yourself back to center. Noticing maybe that there is a difference in your body, that you have asymmetry in your body. That's important to note, because when you want to get to really healing your body, then you can start to work on that asymmetry and bring in symmetry. Let's take the feet wide. Heels are on the mat, toes are off, or let your feet be all the way off the mat. Let's let the knees go over to the left, the head goes to the right. Inhale. Exhale, press your belly button to your spine to come back up to center, and then inhale, let the knees go to the right, the head goes to the left. Exhale, back to center. Inhale to the side, knees are to the left, head is to the right. Exhale, back to center. Going slow here, really warming up the core. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's let the right knee go into center. Bring the right knee back up. Let the left knee go into center. Keep the right knee straight. And then come back up. Right knee in, left leg stays straight. Left leg in. See if you could feel a stretch pretty deep here. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's take the elbows now and bend the elbows if you can. So start to slide the hands closer to your body. Stop when the tension gets too much. And if your body will let you slide your arms up a little bit higher, you may experience even more stretch in the shoulder area where the arm attaches. Take an inhale and an exhale. Press your sacrum, which is the base of your spine. Press that into the ground. And then let's inhale, let your knees go to the left, let your head go to the right. Stay there. Take your right arm and slide your right arm so you straighten your right arm, flex the wrist. Fingernails could touch the floor here, or you could hover, barely lifting away. Reach out the heel of your hand and then stretch your right side so much so the right knee moves towards the foot part of the mat. The right heel of the hand stretches away from you. Feel your body here. Notice what that stretch feels like. And breathe into your right diaphragm. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Slowly, slowly, slowly bring yourself up. We're going to go to the other side. So inhale, let your legs go to the right, let your head go to the left. Elbows are still bent, backs of the arms are on the ground. Now we're going to stretch the left side. So slide the left hand away, unbend the elbow, and then flex the wrist so that the fingernails are on the floor or barely lifting away. Reach out the heel of your left hand and then push your left knee towards the foot part of your mat. Keep your left foot on the ground. So create as much stretch in your body as you can and breathe to your left diaphragm, left side. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. Let's take the legs back to a neutral position. Draw the knees into the chest. Little reset here, little tension taking out of the low back. Let the top of your pelvis rock back and forth side to side. So you feel there's a flexion that comes into the spine. This is a little stretch for the low back. Be a little helpful for those of you with low back issues. We're going to do a posture now called Apanasana, knees to chest. And this is used for digestion. So for physical digestion, try to let the upper thighs press up against your low belly. And then for mental, emotional digestion, stay here in this moment. Feel what you're doing. Take the hands on top of the knees this way. So not to the side. You're not reaching to the side. You're coming from above, holding onto your kneecaps. And then when you have them, squeeze your knees and then let your knees move away from you as much as possible. So you're holding your knees. Do a little wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Let's do a little circular action here with the knees. And when you come towards the chest, notice how the low back, the pelvis rocks and the low back flattens into the floor. And then when you move your legs away, move pretty far away so you feel a deep inner thigh stretch. And then move your legs away from you. You go back to a neutral pelvis, knees come together. So make this be a nice big circle and let your legs be passive. They're not doing anything. Your hands are doing all of this. So feel that pelvic tilt because your hands are passively moving your pelvis. And then go the opposite direction. So we're warming up for the Apanasana knees to chest pose. And I want you to really feel that you're holding on to your legs here. You've got the weight of your legs. Feel what's happening in your body. Always interesting for me to passively move my hip joint because one of them is not mine, my hip replacement, and I feel it moving around, and it's always so interesting. Bring yourself back to center. And then let your arms go straight. Hold on to your kneecaps. Take a big inhale here. And as you exhale, draw your knees straight towards your chest. Let them push up against the low belly. Let the low back flatten up against the floor. Let your chest do what it does. Inhale to come forward. Feel your spine here when you do this. Exhale to draw the knees in. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to draw the knees in. Inhale to straighten. Exhale, draw the knees in, keep them here. Now take your hands to the side, hold on to the shins from the side. The wrists are wrapping around the lower legs. Go side to side. For those of you that could come into a ball, reach your forearms across your shins. Hold on to your elbows with your hands and bring your head up towards your knees. Try to come into a ball and then take deep breaths down to your belly. And then bring yourself down. Let your feet go down for a second. So that could be very supportive for digesting physical stuff in your body and also mentally, emotionally. Because when we come into that tight little ball, when we're in complete flexion, flexion is what the body does to protect us. So you actually put yourself in a calming, soothing nervous system place when you come into a ball. So let's manipulate our spine. I want you to rock your pelvis first. So rock your pelvis forward and back so that you actually try to rock so that your tailbone is pressing into the floor the most. The low back is lifting away from the floor. The pelvis stays down, so you do not lift your pelvis with this. And then you tilt your pelvis backwards so you flatten the top edge of your pelvis up against the floor and then rock forward to your tailbone. This is pelvic tilting anterior and posterior or forward and back. And this is moving the lower lumbar spine. So moving forward and backwards through flexion and extension in your lumbar spine, moving the pressure forward and backwards to move and press the vertebral discs, to move the fluids that are in the spine. And then when you're on the ground like this, when you're laid on the floor, the fluids come back into the spine. So we're letting the fluids go back into the discs, and then we're moving forward and backward. So it can be really therapeutic and healing for those of you with low back issues. And then come into this position where you come into a posterior pelvic tilt, flatten the top of your pelvis to the ground. And then bring your awareness to your pelvic floor here. Bring your pelvic floor to the center and then lift it up towards your rib cage and release. Again, activate, lift up, and release. And then one more, activate to center, lift up towards your rib cage and release. So hopefully you're able to feel something. I explain it. It's like if your hand was flaccid and doing nothing, it would be soft and no muscular action. And then when you contract, it's like when your hand goes into a fist. So if you feel that there's a fist, like contraction of muscles, then probably you're doing some pelvic floor activity. And if it's not pelvic floor, then you're doing core, which is great. All right, so the core wraps from the back of the body all the way around the front. Think of it like a corset, where your core becomes the shape of an hourglass. The waist gets more narrow as those muscles get shorter as they contract to hug your lumbar spine and then release. Hug your lumbar spine with your muscles and then release. Hug your lumbar spine, turn into an hourglass shape and then release. One more time. And then release. Let's do spinal undulation. So we were moving the 5 lower lumbar vertebra and the pelvis through the sacrum and the coccyx bone, the tailbone. Now we're going to start to move the thoracic, the 12 bones attached to your ribs, and the 7 spine bones. If you have osteoporosis, you want to make sure that right by the lower ribs, you do not press into the front of the vertebra in your body. So with osteoporosis, when the head comes off the floor, you would keep your arms out to the side so that you don't close off or put too much pressure on the front part of your spine. And if you don't have osteoporosis, I want you to come into the flexion position, like a roly-poly bug, you know, those gray bugs that turn into a ball. I want you to come in towards a flexion position. So you're not in this full flex position here, but that's what you're trying to do to your spine. Unless you have osteoporosis, you keep your arms out to the side when you come up so that you don't put too much pressure here. You add flexion to the cervical spine and the lumbar spine and try to keep that thoracic spine neutral, okay? So no block between the knees for this part. We'll bring the block between the knees for a next part, but let your feet, your toes are pointing forward. Your legs are just a little bit wider than your body. Take your hands and clasp your hands behind your head. Elbows are out to the side. Now make sure your blanket is only underneath your head, not underneath your upper back or neck area. So adjust it if you need to adjust it. Let your thumbs be down your neck here to help support the weight of your head. Your hands are clasped. Feel that your hands really have your skull. Your hands are holding onto your skull. And try to let it be that your hands take the weight of the skull. So you don't let the neck muscles do too much of the work. You let your hands hold the weight of your skull. Now let's press the arms towards the floor. Try to press the elbows into the floor strongly. You'll feel the shoulder areas activate. You may even feel pressure down in the sacral area, which is in the pelvis. And the low back is away from the floor here. Take an inhale. As you exhale, start to tilt your pelvis first. Let the top edge of your pelvis touch the floor, active pelvic floor, active core like an hourglass. And then start to lift the upper body off the floor. Elbows are out to the side. If you have osteoporosis, stay there. And if you don't, start to bend your thoracic spine where your heart is and your rib cage is. Bring your chin towards your chest. Bring your elbows towards each other. Tailbone points up towards the sky. And so does the crown of the head. Your inhale as you lower all the way down slowly, bending your spine, opening up the front of your spine, press your elbows into the floor, press your tailbone into the floor, and then exhale to rise. Go slow. Active core and pelvic floor. That'll really help you tilt your pelvis. and protect your low back. Keep moving slowly as you undulate your spine. Feel the neck stretch, feel the low back stretch. Feel the chest stretch. One more. And then bring yourself down. So we're going to do a core exercise that's actually going to bring the lower ribs closer to the spine. Try to keep this in your belly area where you make the hourglass shape, you activate the pelvic floor, and the core, the top part of your core, your diaphragm, activates towards center and draws the lower ribs closer to the ground. So we're going to do, we'll do this with a block as well. So the legs are a little bit far apart here. So let me show you this. This, we come up here and we go like this. Now for those with osteoporosis, remember you don't want to compress this part. So be careful, be inside your spine to do what's safe for you. If you want this to be a little bit more challenging, when you lift up, if you keep your arms and your ears together, when you lift your head and your arms together, then you let your arms go away from your body, and then you let your arms come back to your ears, then you lower your body down. That's a lot more core work for the upper back and it's a lot more core work, and it's also more upper back and neck work. So if you have upper back and neck issues, I wouldn't recommend that part because that might be too challenging. Do what you can. Take your hands on your block like this. Spread your legs so that the block will go through them. We're going to go diagonal and to the center. Let's take the arms overhead. Inhale. As you exhale, pelvic floor, make yourself like an hourglass, activating your core. Lift your upper body up and then direct your block between your legs. Slowly inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Block goes towards the outside of the right knee. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise through the center. Inhale to lower. Go slow. Definitely harder when you go slow. We won't do as many because we're going slow. Back to center. Back to the right. Center. And then last one to the left. And then to come down. Let's take the block between the knees. Take your arms to the side. Let's go side to side. If you were doing the upper body part where you bring the arms alongside the ears, it's definitely a lot of work for the upper back. So strengthening upper back and neck muscles. So the head is moving side to side to take that tension out of the neck. So let's do diagonal movement here. Let's take the left hand on the left thigh, and then block is between your knees. Take your right leg up in the sky. Right foot is active, so flex the foot, sole of the foot reaches away from you. Take the right arm behind the head and hold the center of your head with your palm. Left hand is on the left thigh, right elbow is out towards the right. Inhale. As you exhale, activate the pelvic floor, activate your core, make your core like an hourglass. Lift up, slide the left hand towards the left kneecap, and then diagonally rotate as you direct the tip of your elbow to the outside of the left knee, and then inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale, rise. Inhale, lower. Exhale, rise. Fingertips are up towards the kneecap. One more. Exhale to rise. Stay here. Little pulses. Fingertips are trying to touch the kneecap. So reach up with the left hand and direct the right elbow over towards the outside of the left knee. Squeeze the block, active right foot. And then go ahead and inhale to lower. Take a break here for a second. And then let's come to the other side. So cradle your head in your left hand. Take your right hand on your right thigh. Bring your left leg up to the sky. So I do 5, and on the 5th one, we hold. And of course, you do what's appropriate for your body. Let's prepare. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, rise up. Slide the fingertips up. Rotate over to the right. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale to rise. Inhale to lower. Exhale. And then last one, exhale to rise. Stay here. Pulses. And then go ahead and come down. Let's do one for the lower core. So you're going to take your strap and you're either going to tie it, like in a bow, or if you have a loop, you're going to use the loop. And your legs are not that wide apart. You could actually put a. So you isolate the upper thigh block and put the block between your feet. And then you're going to bring your feet onto the ground and close to your body. So you have the strap around your thighs. You can either tie it or loop it, and then you have a block between your feet. So the block between the feet, you need to use the muscles to hold the block between the feet. And then the strap up here, you're going to press out. So this really helps to structurally align you. It turns on the outside and the inside of the body, and it really works the deep core. So it's really a nice center midline strengthening. So for the stability, muscles in the body to help with posture and alignment and balance and all the things that are really important to us. So let's have the blanket behind your head. Make sure it's there. Walk your feet close to your body and take your hands down alongside your body, and then take one hand right at the base of your body. I want you to feel this, the transverse abdominis, the deep, deep, deep core muscles. I want you to feel the activation. So take your fingers and press your fingers into the soft part of your belly, pretty low, near the pubis bone. And then just imagine that you're going to lift your feet off the floor. And maybe you lift your feet off the floor and you feel it, or maybe even without lifting the feet off the floor, you feel the body responding and activating. So it's really deep core work that we're going to do here. Take your fingers alongside your body. So activate pelvic floor, activate your inhale. So when we do our breaths, try to breathe up here. Try to breathe in the upper chest, almost like sipping in the breath. So you maintain that abdominal pressure of core contraction, pelvic floor activation. So let's prepare. Take an exhale, then an inhale, and then exhale to let the block only come 1 or 2 inches away from the floor, and then lower. Barely take it away. The least amount of lift you do, the deeper the work is in your body. So work deeply. Exhale, inhale, and now on the exhale, lift. Try to flatten the low back into the floor. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Try to flatten your low back, so core contraction and pelvic floor. Inhale to lower. Exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Squeeze the block, push out on the strap. And last one. Exhale to lift. Stay here. Flatten the low back. Try to push the top edge of the pelvis to the floor. Squeeze the block. Push out on the strap. And then lower down all the way. Bring the strap. Actually, keep the strap there and take the block off to the side. Let's stretch the back of the body, which is the core in the back of the body. So let's do a bridge. Keep the strap there. You'll get a little higher here when you have the strap there. Move your blanket away. Move your shoulder blades closer to your spine. So use the upper arms to move the shoulder blade. And then pick your head up and lengthen your head so the chin is towards your chest. Walk your feet closer to your body. And then flatten your low back. Push out on your strap. So flatten the low back. You're in a posterior pelvic tilt. And then close the eyes. Start to peel your spine up, 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 away from the floor. Keep going, keep going. Let your knees reach away from you. So unbending the hip joint. And as your weight comes up to the upper body, let it waterfall to the upper back. Don't let it go down into the head and neck. So you have to bend the upper spine. You either keep the arms bent or you can clasp underneath your body. You'll probably get higher here with a strap around your legs. And then push your heart up towards the sky and slightly towards your head, towards your nose. Push your feet into the floor, push your arms into the floor. Deep breaths. Stretching your belly, stretching your psoas. Reach your knees away from you. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. When you come down, don't go down fast, go down slow and place one vertebra at a time. And when you get to the lower ribs, lift your heels off the floor. Try to tilt your pelvis backwards so the low back touches before the pelvis, stretching your low back. And then draw your knees to your chest, take your strap off. Bring your blanket behind your head if you need. The knees are to the chest. And then rock onto your side. Take your hand. Let's push the floor away from you to bring yourself up to a seated position. And then bring your blanket underneath your knees. So let's move our spine in case we had some, I don't know. It's a lot of core work, right? So let's see how you're feeling. First, I want you to walk your hands forward. I want you to shake your tail as if you had a huge alligator tail that weighed 100 pounds and you had to drag it on the floor from side to side. So stretching your waist. And then when you move your tail to the right, look over the right shoulder. And when you move your tail to the left, look over the left shoulder. So trying to stretch the side of your body. And then bring yourself back to center. Now, right where your tailbone is in your pelvis, can you make a circle with your tailbone? As if your tailbone had a Sharpie marker and you were taking it on the wall behind you and you were going to draw a big circle on the wall behind you. This is going to stretch the low back. And see if you can make a nice circle. See what happens when you're trying to make that circle. Does it make a circle or does it go a little cattywampus on some parts of that circle? And then go in the other direction and try to make a circle on the wall behind you, stretching the low back. And then bring yourself center. Let's stretch your whole spine. So take your arms forward and then bend your hips. So your pelvis goes back a little bit. You bend your hips, your arms are straight, your fingers are stretched. Let your forehead rest on the floor. This is puppy dog. And I want you to think about your whole spine stretching here. So let the forehead rest on the mat. The arms are straight. The elbows are off the ground. You're pushing your hands into the floor strongly. And then walk your hands back a little bit so that your hips bend a little bit deeper. and the weight of your pelvis is trying to pull you backwards. Stretching your spine. Take one more breath. Then you're going to come up. Let's come onto the forearms. Put your forearms onto the ground. Let your knees be on the ground. The soles of the feet are pointing up towards the sky and the toenails touch the floor. So you could stay here in a dolphin, or you can lift your knees off, flip your toes under, doing a dolphin plank. Reach your head nice and long and reach your feet away from you. Make sure your elbows are directly underneath your shoulders, so don't have them be too wide here. Push your hands into the floor, push your forearms into the floor, push your elbows into the floor. And then bring your awareness to your right foot, push all 5 toes into the floor. And then to the left foot, all 5 toes. And then both feet, really push away from the floor here with your arms and your feet, or the lower legs, whatever you're doing. And then bend your knees, bring yourself all the way up. Woo! Lots of core. So the last thing I'd like to do is really bring length into your whole body from fingertips to toes. So we're going to do this Kriya. Kriya is when we move and it. So this is what it looks like. Arms are straight. Stretching your limbs. And then exhale and bring our knee towards our elbow. Now here's the problem. If you have osteoporosis, I don't want you rounding the upper body. So if you have osteoporosis, you're going to leave your arm here and just bring your knee in. So it is more core and it's spinal movement. And if you have osteoporosis, you're going to leave your arm out. But if you don't have osteoporosis, you're going to try to touch elbow to knee. Okay? So this is the last movement before we move to our Shavasana. Try to really find that length in your spine when you come into movement, and then find that flexion in your spine. Using your core to bring your body into extension and into flexion. Whole body. Take your hands forward. Let's inhale, right inhale. Right hand goes away, left leg goes away. Exhale. Let's begin. Inhale to lift the limbs off the floor, and then exhale to draw them towards each other. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale. Last one, we're going to stay there in the extension. Stay here. Reach your left leg away. Reach your right arm away. Stretch your body glove. And then bring both hands and leg to the ground. Let's inhale, left arm and right leg goes away from you. Exhale. Inhale to lift. Exhale to come to center. Inhale. And then exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale. Stay here. Reach long in your limbs. And then when you exhale, bring yourself out. Come all the way up. Shake, shake, shake. Take your hands down. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last one. Inhale deeply down to your pelvic floor. And then open your mouth. Okay. So time for Shavasana, final rest. Bringing yourself all the way down onto the ground. Get whatever you need for the end of your practice. If you want to bring
pillows or bolster or something underneath your knees, you can do that. Or you can come into the fully supine position or put your legs up the wall or something, whatever you'd like. And if you did want to bring your knees into your chest one last time, or let yourself go into happy baby, legs are wide, whatever you want to do. And then bringing yourself into the Shavasana, the posture of integration, allowing everything that you just did, the new you that was created today during the practice, to seep into your cells and your soul. Begin to deepen your breath.
Breathing down to your pelvic floor, the base of your torso. Bring movement to your hands and your feet, and bring that movement into the legs and the arms. And bending your knees into your body one at a time. And then rock all the way onto your side. Pushing away from the floor to come up to a seat. Try to keep your eyes closed, staying connected to yourself so you can end your practice very connected. Take your hands together. Press the chest towards the thumbs. Feel that lift in your body. We'll close with sound, the sound bringing the awareness to the breath and to the spine so you hear that sound. Take a big exhale, then an inhale. Bowing to each other in namaste. Namaste literally means I bow. Namo is to bow. And it's the light or the divinity in me that bows to that same light or divinity that's in you. Namaste. Lots of core, lots of supportive work that's good for health and keeping you nice and strong and healthy. Very important, right? To be happy in our body so we can be happy in our mind. Hi, Raina. Nice to see you. You're welcome, Michael. So thank you, everyone. I believe this is week 7. So next week is the last week of, because I teach in 8-week sessions, Raina. I teach for a hospital in Southern California. I do it. I teach 8-week sessions. I take 1 week off the first week of September. So next week I'm here and then I'm off for a whole week. What's going to happen? I know that sounds crazy, so we'll see if it happens. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you whenever I see you again. Bye.